1039. Featuring Doc, Don Vito, and Keith Cash. Harlem's number one show.
How y'all doing tonight? Happy Wednesday.
How y'all doing? Happy Wednesday.
Well, we got a special guest on tonight. I know everybody knows his name. He's been in the community. He helped a lot of people in the community. He helped a lot of people win cases. But before we get into it, my name is Don Vito. I'm Voice for the Peoples.
Doc, I'm Shake the Block, baby.
And we're going to start the interview right now. So we got attorney Sanford Rubenstein in the building. Mr. Rubenstein.
Happy to be here.
Buddy?
Once again, to be with you guys. Happy to be here.
Yeah, good to see you, man. Good to see you.
Second time.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
So I'm gonna start off like this. Can you just tell everybody your name and everything for the viewers that don't know you, and just tell them how your career started as an attorney, where you came from and everything?
Where you from?
Okay, well, this is Sanford Rubenstein, the civil rights attorney here in New York City, who's represented victims in some of the most horrible tragedies in this city. For example, the torture of Abner Louima in a police station over 25 years ago. Hard to believe that 25 years have passed since that tragedy occurred. And then the shooting of Sean Bell, killing him the night before his wedding, the 50-shot case, many other cases, including Eric Garner, the chokehold case. So I've represented a lot of victims in civil rights cases, as well as victims of medical malpractice. And that's something I want to talk about today, because unfortunately, I recently learned when I was asked to represent the family of a relatively young woman who died in childbirth at Woodhull Hospital, to represent them because they felt something wasn't right. The fact of the matter is, when I did the research, do you know that in this city, New York City, Black women are 9 times more likely to die in childbirth at hospitals than white women? That is unacceptable. That's not something that should be happening in this city, in this state, or in this country, but it's happening right here in New York City. We have a Black mayor who's proud of his Black cabinet, yet Black women are dying at a rate 9 times that of white women. And that was a study done by the New York City Department of Health. Woodhull Hospital was where this happened. And unfortunately, women in this city, Black women, are afraid to go to hospitals for childbirth because they know there's something not right. It has to be fixed. And what I do as a lawyer is not only represent victims for money damages, which they're entitled to, but also try to get change. So what happens to one victim doesn't happen to others. And that's what we're fighting for right now on this issue.
Wow. So let me ask you a question. So you says, what's the cause of that?
Well, we are in the process of reviewing the hospital records to actually ascertain what exactly the cause was and get the autopsy report, because that's very important. But it's a recent case. But I was shocked by that statistic from the Department of Health in the city. 9 times the deaths of Black women as opposed to white women in this city in childbirth. Something that just has to stop.
In childbirth, so it has nothing to do with genetics or nothing like that, right?
No, nothing to do with genetics. It has to do with something that's going on in these city hospitals that's unacceptable. Medical malpractice.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's bad, man.
So,
So I'm very, busy with a number of important cases here in the city, and unfortunately, my phone doesn't stop ringing. Or it's fortunate, I guess, for me as a lawyer. But I'm never happy what happens to a victim happens, or to their families, what happens when they lose someone. But of course, if they call me, at least I can put together my team to work with me to get them good results.
What's the approach to a situation like that to get some justice?
Well, you have to, first of all, you file a complaint with the Department of Health. They do their investigation. You alert the investigatory authorities like the Department of Investigation in New York City to conduct their own independent investigations. And then you file a lawsuit, because the only thing I think that will result in change is when damages are paid by those who commit wrongdoing so they don't continue to do it. And if it's an institution, then that institution has to change its ways.
So does that have anything to do with healthcare?
Obviously, in New York City, there's a problem with healthcare with regard to women who happen to be pregnant who are black.
That's crazy, man. I don't like what I'm hearing.
Unfortunately, I got to tell you, because that's the way it is. And the
Right.
only way to expose it is to shine a light on
Right.
what's going on to
Uh-huh.
get the change that's needed.
Yeah, because they brushing it under the rug pretty much, huh?
Well, they try not to let it be out there in the public realm, so to speak. And I'm out there to put it in the public realm, to shine a spotlight on wrongdoing, to get change so it doesn't happen to others as it happened to the victim I represent.
See, one thing I know about you, you'll hit the streets. You'll hit the streets and you'll stand up in podiums and you'll speak to the peoples about a lot of different things that goes on since your whole career started. So have you hit the streets with this situation yet?
Well, the family was protesting in front of the hospital
Right.
when it happened, but we're more interested right now in getting the autopsy report so we can pin down the cause of death and then filing a lawsuit to get damages from the city, Woodhills or City Hospital. But the public should know that there's a problem here and it has to be addressed by government, because these are city hospitals.
So you could be getting any support from like government or
Well, this is a case literally against the government because it's going to be against the city. Woodhill Hospital is a city hospital, and we're going to file a lawsuit not only against those responsible individually, the doctors, the nurses, whoever was responsible for this, but the city of New York, because the Health and Hospitals Corporation, which is a city entity, but this is the city of New York, and it's a city in which this shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, a lot of heads will fly once he exposed that come out.
That's crazy. So you said 9 times the amount. That's a lot.
Yep.
So
Yep.
so do you have any suspicion what you think it could be?
Well, I really rather have my experts review the records and come back with their official reports before I speculate. But clearly something went wrong here that wasn't the fault of the woman who died, that apparently was the fault of something that happened in that childbirth that shouldn't have happened. And it wasn't something that was caused by the victim.
So who brought this to your attention?
I got a call. I get a lot of calls from the community. As a matter of fact, I want to give you my cell number. So if anyone wants to reach me directly, they can
Yes.
reach me easily. 917.
Hey, can you put that up on the screen? We're gonna have him put it up on the screen. Is that okay?
Yeah, 917
Yep.
922 9619. That's my personal cell. I answer it. Nobody else answers it. And this way people can get to me directly. And I can hear them out, hear what their problems are, and see if I could help. Like I told you, I do not only civil rights in these cases involving police brutality, which I've done a lot over my career, wrongful death for police brutality, but also medical malpractice, like the case I talked about, and your typical accidents that occur in all sorts of ways, car accidents, premises accidents, slip and falls, all those kind of cases. And I have a big team behind me. So we are ready for the representation of any new victims that feel they need it. And
And
by the
you
way, we work on a contingent fee, which means no one has to pay us any money up front. We wait till the end of the case, and if we're successful, we get a fee that's determined by the state, which is a third usually. Medical malpractice, it's a bit less. But the truth of the matter is, people don't have to need to have resources, money to hire a lawyer in my field. We work on contingency. That means we get paid at the end of the case if we're successful. No success, no fee.
And that you can't get no better than that.
No, not at all.
So for the new people who's watching, because a lot of people, we got people from like different states and things like that. Can you tell them how long you've been in the field and where you from?
Well, I hate to admit it, but I've been doing this for over 50 years. And I happen to be in my study at my penthouse here in Manhattan, where I have my Manhattan residence. And if you look out the window, you see the housing projects I grew up in, the Ravenswood housing projects. So I grew up in the Ravenswood housing projects in this city as a young kid. Lived there till I was 14. So from the projects to the penthouse, so to speak. But I could understand the need people have for attorneys that grew up in this city, that were raised in this city, that understand this city, and have become a success in this city, representing victims.
Wow. So I would believe that once this case gets pushed a little further, that a lot of other people are going to come forward, families and stuff like that.
Well, if they do, they can call me. It's already been covered by the New York Times in a few articles. they focused on this issue also because they consider it an important issue.
It's very important.
So someone just what's his name? Dean Williams.
Yeah.
He just says, I have a question. Why was it not a federal charge filed in Eric Gardner's case, and why it was not a independent investigation with the officers?
Well, what happened was there was a federal investigation by the U.S. Department of Justice that went on for quite some time, and they made the determination that they chose not to not to charge the police officer. So that was something that the federal government, the Department of Justice, had a determination, and they chose not to charge the police officer. That's nothing unusual in police cases to get authorities to charge the cops, so to speak, when there is alleged wrongdoing. But that's what happened there. The federal government, the U.S. Department of Justice, did an investigation and made a determination that they did not want to take the case to the stage of requesting an indictment.
So pretty much they try to protect their officers, pretty much, huh?
Well, it wasn't even their officers. This was the U.S. Attorney's Office. They did prosecute the Abner Louima case and prosecuted the officer in that case who was sentenced to 30 years in jail. He recently got out of jail.
Wow.
And by the way, the Abner Louima case was the torture of Abner Louima in a police precinct in Brooklyn. And it got international attention, and perhaps was the case that gave me the fame that I have today.
Was the Abner Louima case was your biggest case?
Well, by biggest, it may not have been the most money in terms of the amount of money we recovered for Abner, but it certainly was the case that got the most attention in the press over quite some period of time, because the U.S. Department of Justice did come in. They did prosecute the police officer. They were successful in getting a 30-year jail term for the police officer responsible. And yeah, that's what happened there.
What about the Sean Bell case? I thought that was pretty major too.
Yeah, Sean Bell was a horrible tragedy, and that another example of a case. Sean Bell, just to tell your viewers what happened in the case, a man, night before his wedding, supposed to marry his childhood sweetheart, who he already has 2 daughters with, beautiful young kids who are now grown, by the way. And he's out at his bachelor party. At the bachelor party, he was there with his future father-in-law, his father, his friends, and it was at a strip club in Queens, bachelor party. And as he came out of the bachelor party and went into his car with his friends, 50 shots were fired at them. Cops were tried in Queens in a state trial. They were indicted. Not guilty. A jury did not find them guilty. So these cases, it's very hard to get a conviction of police officers in these types of cases. And that's the perfect example of a case in which the family was very disappointed that there was no conviction. However, we did get a recovery, monetary damages for his children.
Oh, so it just went to the children, not the fiance?
It ended up, no, she didn't get any recovery because she was not married to him yet. Matter of fact, it's an interesting story that I'll share with you. She had really loved him. I mean, it was a case of a childhood romance in high school. He was the pitcher, she was the cheerleader on the high school team. And after he was killed, she said, well, I still want to marry him. And I looked up the law and I said, that's not possible. You can't marry someone who's deceased. But I came up with an idea that was able to get at least some satisfaction for her at that time. And I said, but you know what? If you like, and I can ask a judge in court to change your name to Bell. And she said, wow, that would be amazing. And we did a name change. The court agreed. They signed the order. And within a few weeks, her name was changed to Bell, Nicole Bell. So sometimes there's more than one way to skin a cat, so to speak. Right. But that's an interesting anecdote. And she carries his name today, I believe.
Was that a first for you?
Well, the first time I ever went to court for a name change for a victim who wanted to have the name of the man she was supposed to marry who was killed by the police.
Wow. So she dropped her name into straight Bell. So that's sad, man. It's really sad.
As a matter of fact, I think, and these are just anecdotal things that, but people remember this. If I remember correctly also, we were able to get the ring that he was supposed to put on her finger uh,
Mm.
which was confiscated by the police at the scene of the killing.
Wow.
Wow, that's amazing. They should, even though they wasn't married, they should have still compensated her too.
No, well, the law doesn't allow that. The law only allows compensation for either spouses or
Yeah, New York
children.
doesn't have common law.
In New York, yeah, in New York, and there's no common law marriage in New York. Just
Yeah,
doesn't exist.
yeah,
Damn, one day. That's crazy.
yeah. It's terrible.
So the kids was like 8 years old at the time, right?
Yeah, there were two kids. They were very young. One just finished college, I believe, and the other one, I think, is in college. But the years go by too fast for
Yeah.
all of us.
What year was that? Like 2000,
Uh,
right?
I gotta find it, but it was
Yeah, it was it. We got
probably about 15 years ago.
damn time fly. I remember it like
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, yeah.
15 years old.
Hey, Mr. Roberson, let me ask you a question. Well, so what was the young lady that you represented down south? What was her name? Not down south. Was a young lady you had a case with a young lady? Damn, what was her name?
You have to help me be more specific. What was
Yeah,
the case
you had
about?
a lot of different cases. All right, so what was your next biggest case after that? Do you remember?
Well, when you say biggest case, I mean, I've done a lot of important cases.
I
For
mean, but
example,
what
I
do
had
you
one of the largest verdicts in malpractice in Brooklyn for
okay?
a woman who lost both her legs in a case of malpractice, and case settled for a lot of many millions. But the truth of the matter is, we don't want these things to happen to people. We
Right,
don't want the malpractice. We don't want the police brutality. We don't want people to suffer for the rest of their lives injuries that they got through no fault of their own. But
right.
when it happens, they're entitled to damages, money damages, in the only form the law allows, money damages.
Mhm. Well, I know a lot of people know that familiar voice because your commercial comes on like at least 4 or 5 times a day.
And we also have billboards now. I don't know if you've seen them, but huge billboards in Brooklyn as well as in the Bronx, and I think we have one in Manhattan advertising the firm, because that's the direction that the personal injury and civil rights bar is headed. Sort of like Florida, where they always had billboards, and now we see more and more
Yeah,
lawyers advertising
Yeah,
on
in
billboards.
Florida, you see nothing but attorney billboards.
yeah.
But I'll tell you something. I not only do I have a law degree, I also happen to have a master's in business administration and marketing. And one of the first things I learned in advertising, the professor in the first class said to the class, "If we build a better mousetrap, will people beat a path to your door?" And all of us were dumbfounded. What kind of stupid question is that? And then he said, "Advertising." And that was the point, whether it's TV ads or billboards, advertising makes the public aware of you.
Yes.
And if you have had great results in the past and you want the public to know, and you are looking to represent victims in the future, then you advertise so that people know that you're available to them. And that's what we do, whether it's the TV commercial, which runs quite frequently, or the billboards now that we have. It works.
Okay. Also, let's talk about your book. I remember
Yes.
you sent me a case of books. I still have some.
Here it is right here.
Yeah, I remember that book.
Yeah. I still got
Okay.
about 20 copies left. I'm gonna pass it out to the
Yeah,
people.
please do. The Outrageous Rubenstein, How a Media Savvy Tri-Lawyer Fights for Justice and Change. The
Yes.
forward by Reverend Al Sharpton. It's a very good example of various cases in which I fought for justice, not only in the courtroom, but also in the court of public opinion.
Mhm.
So Al Sharpton, you still have a relationship with him?
Actually, he's going on to bigger and better things on MSNBC, so I don't. But at the end of the day, I'm grateful that he wrote the forward to the book, and I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to write the book, because it demonstrates how we use the media as well as the courts to get justice for the victim and try to get change.
All right, so Mr. Rubenstein, I got a good question I want to ask you. We got a crisis here in New York. What's your take on the migrants?
Look, that's a political issue that's very difficult to deal with,
Mhm.
because on the one hand, should we in New York be suffering the cost of the migrants uh, without help from the federal government? It seems to me that the federal government needs to step in and pay the cost of that we have as a city for the housing, the health care, and whatever else the needs of these migrants are. Putting away the issue of whether or not we should or should not be helping migrants, that's not the issue. The issue is if the federal government doesn't stop in, it's not fair to the people of the city of New York that we have to burden the cost is then burdened by us. It's not fair. And what's happening is the governors, I think it's Texas, are sending the migrants here because they don't want to shoulder the cost. And the
Mhm.
truth of the matter is, the federal government should be funding 100% the cost of the migrants, and they're not doing it.
You're right. Um, Next question. What's your what's your take on the crisis that's going on in the Middle East with the Palestinians and the Jews? Being that you're a Jewish man, how do you feel about the crisis that we're having with the war and stuff like that, and the
Well, that's
protests at
something
the colleges?
that's something I don't talk about anymore because I have a girlfriend who happens to be Muslim, and we don't talk about it. So I don't talk about it publicly at this point. It's a terrible tragedy in the world
Yes.
that was started by those who killed 1,200 innocent people and captured a couple of hundred others. Uh, Terrorists should not be allowed to succeed in their ends by killing masses of people, and that's what happened there. But that's all I'm going to say about it right now.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, because the protesting down at Columbia University, I went by there like a week ago, and I was like, wow, this thing is real serious out here. Very serious. All right, so what do you have going on that the public needs to know about that we didn't touch on as right
No,
now?
I think we covered a number of areas, particularly the medical malpractice area, in which there's a real crisis for young Black women, not just young, any woman that's pregnant who's Black in this city. That's an issue I really wanted to focus on, and I thank you for letting me bring it, shine a light on it, so the public can hear about it.
It's all right. So I think they want to hear a little more. So um, I guess you got to do some investigation and stuff like that. And I'm sure, like a lot of people, heads are going to fly once it gets further investigation start to happen.
Well, I certainly will be happy to come back on your show and talk about the progress of this case
Uh-huh.
as time goes on. And I'm always happy to be here.
That's right.
So you predicting that this case, what you think about 3 years?
Yeah, usually it takes 3 to 5 years to get a case to trial unless there's a amicable resolution. And we have had some success with that with the city where we can resolve cases early on. But usually the only time defendants, whether they be the city or a corporate defendant or a private insurance company, the only time they really get serious is after you pick a jury and you're ready to try the case. That's when they get serious. So we try to prepare all our cases for trial at our office, Rubenstein and Renicky, and we try to be ready so that we can try these cases if necessary.
So let's talk about the Hamptons.
Yeah, I have something very interesting to tell you about the Hamptons.
That's what I want. That's what I'm talking about.
Because for many years, have had a relationship with the Haitian community.
Okay.
And back in the day, there were two brothers, Unique and Kiki, who had the PM nightclub in the meatpacking, which was perhaps the most popular nightclub 15, 20 years ago in the meatpacking. Well, they've engaged on a new project, a restaurant and a nightclub. It's already in Manhattan. The nightclub or the lounge is Bijou, and the restaurant is Le Pergano. What I am doing is working with them now in the Hamptons, and we're opening, hopefully Friday night, a new venue there for the lounge and the restaurant, El Pelicano and Bijou Lounge, to give high-scale entertainment to the people of the Hamptons. But the guys who are doing it are Haitians, and they've been my brothers for years. As you know, my relationship with the Haitian community, and now I'm with them in this venture as their one of their investors, and I'm looking forward to an interesting summer in the Hamptons with this lounge and restaurant.
So you said you investing in it. This is like the first time you really doing like investments. I know you more so.
No, I focus mainly on the practice of law, but I have invested from time to time in various entities. But this is one in which it's interesting because these guys have a great concept And I think it's going to be a real success this summer in the Hamptons.
Because a lot of people on this show, they love hearing like some insight on some business. So you said they concept, what they
Yeah,
bring.
the concept is to do a high class restaurant and a lounge. It exists right now in New York City in Little Italy on Mulberry Street, and we're bringing that first to the Hamptons, and then hopefully to Miami, Vegas, Dubai. That's all on the antenna to create a brand, so to speak. But what's interesting to me is that the guys who are putting all this together, this one fella Kiki, who's had PM, and then they did something at Provocateur. Uh, they are amazing because we're putting together the space in Southampton, and maybe 2 weeks of construction, and it's going to be done. But we're sweating it out right now because we want to open Friday night,
Wow, that's
Memorial Day weekend.
so it's a high end scale, right?
Yeah, upscale, high end club. It's not for the young kids to hang in. It's for adults like you guys and me.
Live entertainment sometimes.
Yeah, we haven't done that yet. Right now, we're trying to get the place structurally finished and
Right.
get the kitchen in order. But it's going to be an exciting venture for me to have a restaurant and a lounge in the Hamptons, where I've had a second home for many, many years.
So you mentioned Haitians. Haitians have cook some very good dishes, man.
No, it's not going to be Haitian food. It's actually going to be Italian food. But as
Okay.
long as we mention Haiti, we got some real problems in Haiti right now. And I don't know how they're going to be solved because you got the gangs running the country.
They run
Yeah.
And I hope that
Didn't they do something with the president? Didn't they?
no, they killed the president.
Kill the president, right?
And then, yeah, they assassinated the president. And then, it's just been a mess there. Really, it's just. I mean, basically, apparently the gangs are controlling the streets. But I think right now there's a plan to bring a couple of thousand Kenyan police officers there to try to get order. But that's what happens when a society totally breaks down, when there is no order, so to speak, in the society. But I think Haiti is probably, and I've been back and forth to Haiti many, many times, as you guys probably know. I happen to have the largest collection of modern Haitian art in the world, and I have a special relationship with Haiti. Uh, but the truth of the matter is, something has to be done to fix the problem. Because when you have gangs running a country, no one is safe. And that's a serious problem. So I'm hoping that perhaps by getting these Kenyan police officers there, they can get some order there. But it's a real problem in Haiti today.
Back to I just want to ask one question because I meant to ask you before the capacity of your restaurant. What's the capacity?
It's huge, 180 indoor outdoor space, and then the indoor outdoor space is really going to be interesting. We're going to have games there, like bocce. It's going to be a very fun concept as well.
It's by the water?
No, it's not by the water. It's in the village of Southampton on Main Street, not far from the actual village.
Right. So I know you're excited about the grand opening on Friday.
Well, it's going to be probably friends and family Friday, just to make sure that we're all ready for the crowds that are going to come, especially Memorial Day weekend on Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
We got to
But
go
it's
out
gonna be a
there one time and do the media out there for you guys.
Yeah, we love that. We love that. And you should meet Kiki and the team that we put together. It's just a little bit different from what I've been doing in the past, practicing law, focusing on the major cases, which I'm still doing.
Right.
But this is going to be an interesting summer for me.
A little side gig for you.
Yeah. And by the way, I also will always have that cell phone with me. So if people need to reach me, they can reach me wherever I am.
That's right.
That's right. Y'all see that? If y'all need to reach him, this is a top attorney on TV all day, every day, man. This is the top attorney.
Well-known attorney, Sanford Rubenstein. Everybody knows Sanford Rubenstein. Hey, tell him your telephone number one more time, Mr. Rubenstein.
We got
917-922-9619. And that's my personal cell. You get me on the phone.
All right, well, Mr. Rubenstein, we're not going to hold you no longer. Do you have any links that people could contact you, or you just want them to call you?
Well, they can always go to our website if they like to check out the firm. But they can call me direct. I think that's the best way. But if they want to go to the website, it would be rubrynlaw@AOL.com. Tell you something about the firm and about the cases that we've done.
Okay. But Mr. Rubenstein, before you go, right, being that you're a friend to the show, can you tell them what's the #1 Harlem radio show in the land?
You guys, right there, the beat.
139. All
The
right.
beat.
Thank you again, man. It's an honor and a
Thank
pleasure.
you for having me.
Thank you.
All right. You have a wonderful day. We see you in the Hamptons.
Okay.
All right, buddy.
You're listening to The Beat 139. Harlem's #1